and has had no contact with her. Joining me right now is Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee. He's signed on to that big effort right now in the House to try to force a vote to release all of the Epstein files. Congressman, thanks for coming in. This person close to Ghislaine Maxwell seems to be batting down the idea of her coming before Congress. But do you like the idea of offering her some sort of immunity to get her to come before Congress to testify while she's serving prison time?
Yes, ma'am. You may not know this, but I wrote a letter last week to Chairman Comer early last week to, in fact, do that. I've been informed, though, that she is in the process of an appeal, and that would make it a little difficult for her to come in because it might skew her appeal. But I think once her appeal is over, I think that would be the right course, and that's why I didn't get a bunch of people to sign it. I'm not real big on letters, but I understand the process in D.C., and that's why I've encouraged Chairman Comer to, in fact, subpoena her if need be, because I believe she is the gatekeeper. And if we have to do it in a closed-door session, then I say let's do it. But I think we need to get her in front of the members and ask her what she knows.
Let us see, what that entails and what, and the long kind of negotiation that would take, of course. Yesterday, you called the move to have the grand jury transcripts released. You called it a good start because, for background, as everyone will likely know at this point, what the bill is asking for is much more than grand jury transcripts. And the bar that the president has set earlier, I would say last week, when saying that it was up to Pam Bondi, was the way he put it is, whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. If this comes down to kind of the definition of credible here, what is that going to mean to you?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but my biggest fear on all this is that, first of all, we need to protect the innocent children. Apparently, there's close to 1,000 people that this dirtbag offended or had a part in offended, and I assume the devil's taking care of him right now. But that, I do not want to release those children's names and innocent people. If you flew on his plane, dadgummit, doesn't mean you're a pedophile. That's what folks do and that run in these very wealthy circles. I know some people and that fly in other people's planes when their plane is down, and somebody will say, "Hey, I've got an empty seat. We're going. You want to ride with us instead of waiting on your repairs on your plane?" They say, "Sure," and then they get on it and they're on the flight logs. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a pedophile. And so I would hope there's some sort of filter or way we could screen that, and I don't know what that is. Again, I'm not an attorney. I would hope that we could put somebody in charge of that could do that, and Miss Bondi is capable of doing that. I hope she does. But there again, I don't think we're ever going to get the information that we wanted. We went 4 years under the Biden administration, and we never got a peep out of any Democrats. Dick Durbin stopped, effectively, Senator Marsha Blackburn from getting all that information, and there was never anything in the media. Now he's coming out riding out on a white horse like he's doing something when in fact that is not. And this is all just political, man. Both sides pointing fingers. I just want to get to the guilty.
And there's definitely a lot of finger pointing. I actually asked Dick Durbin last week about the back and forth that had gone on when he was chairman of the committee of the judiciary, that Marsha Blackburn, your state senator, had been pushing for flight logs. And he responded to that, saying that's really not how this played out. Let me play this for you.
No, nothing changed. I said to Senator Blackburn, I'll be happy to subpoena these documents. Give me a written list of what you're searching for, and I'll proceed and go forward. She never came up with that list because when you're in the midst of a conspiracy theory, it's a lot easier to make charges than to back them up with anything specific. I've never been reluctant. The argument that Biden was concealing something during those 4 years was just plain wrong and false.
Just looking at this going forward from this point, Congressman, go ahead.
He's not telling the truth, ma'am. Go back and watch the tapes. He was an obstructionist. He acted like he didn't know what she was talking about. That is totally in error. And I wish you all would go back and correct that, because that is clearly him going fast with the rules there. She diligently asked for those things, and he completely mansplained her the whole time, and no one paid any attention to it, and now they are. I just don't think he's telling the truth, ma'am.
Going forward on this, you had said last week that you do not trust DOJ, and you had some harsh words for Pam Bondi as well. Do you trust Pam Bondi to be the one to make the call on what is credible, what is right, what is safe, what should be put out there?
Well, I was saying it's not how you start, it's how you finish. If she finishes strong, then I would trust her. In the past, I didn't think that things that she had done were I won't say appropriate. I just don't think they were as efficient as they could. The white binders that they gave out was pretty much information everybody already had. I think she took some bad advice on that. She might not have even known. She might not have followed it, say, like you and I would or had been. So, and remember, she was the president brought her in pretty quick after the failed attempt of putting somebody else in there. And they confirmed her very fast. So I suspect the learning curve was very steep. So, yeah, I'm disappointed in her. I've been disappointed in her, but that's the process. And generally, you don't speak out against somebody in your own party. But generally, I haven't really followed those rules. I don't. If I'm unhappy with somebody, I just say it. I'm not much on. I'm very much on transparency, ma'am.
Let us see where this goes and the growing movement on the bill that you've signed on to as well. Congressman, thanks for your time this morning. Omar.